Are you tired of not filling your RSVPs? Circus can deliver people to your event even at the last moment. Using their own advanced algorithms, they can match and connect your business with your ideal crowd. Visit circus.com to get started or request a demo. That's surkus.com.
Are you a
follower?
9, 8, okay, so we're gonna be
Welcome to GatherGeeks, a podcast by BizBash, the place where people passionate about meetings and events come together. Here are your hosts, BizBash CEO David Adler and Executive Editor Beth Kormanik.
Welcome to GatherGeeks. Hi, David.
Hey, Beth. How are you doing today?
Terrific. Thank you. I'm looking forward to sharing the conversation you had with Larry Cohen of Access Promotions. They create promotional products for brands, otherwise known as swag. And David, for our listeners who don't know what swag means, or know that it's actually an acronym, tell them what it means.
Okay, this is what Larry told me, and I've been using this at cocktail parties for the last few weeks since he told me. Swag stands for stuff we all get. Stuff we all get.
That's perfect. So now there's a quick tip for all of you listeners who are headed to dinner parties. So share that one with your friends.
It's endless trivia that nobody will care about, but they'll find interesting.
That's right. Well, our editorial team writes about gifts and promotions often. Our current issue has a feature on holiday gifts for corporate giving. And we also get a lot of swag when we attend events. So we know there's a range of quality, ingenuity, and usefulness. And David, that's something you get into with him during this talk.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that it's a lot of thought goes into this. I mean, you think that it just happens, but brands and these vendors spend hours and hours thinking about the perfect experience, the extension to the experience that they're being invited to, or a way to market to them independently.
Right. And he says this is a $22 billion a year industry.
A lot of billions.
Yeah, that's right. Billions with a B. So obviously brands feel this is effective. So the conversation you have with him is really about brand marketing, along with some tips for all of our listeners about what's hot and what's not when it comes to promotional products. Let's take a listen.
So Larry, let's go back a little bit. You're one of the premier promotional products companies, I guess is what you call it. You create strategic ideas to make things happen. How did you get into this, and what drives you?
So I'll keep how I got into it fairly short. But I went to Duke undergraduate, went to Penn Law, and was a practicing attorney. But kind of grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and I had this, and a sports fan, and I had this idea of giving away binoculars at sporting events. And eventually went to China and sourced them there and worked with some of the leagues to sell them, and then realized you can't be a one-product guy. And I had taken some classes at business school and kind of sort of approaching companies about doing products as giveaways. And I was asking targeted questions, like typical marketing theme, target audiences, demographics, colors, locations, and all of those things. And inevitably someone would say, "You're just the giveaway. Why are you asking us these questions?" And I would say, well, I may just be the giveaway, but I'm probably going to be the thing that lasts the longest from all the other things that you do, whether it's the trade show booth or the advertising or the billboards and everything else. A well-done promotional product will last for a tremendous amount of time. And the statistics kind of bear that out. All the consumer research shows how long people hold on to it. I think one of the numbers is 9 in 10 can remember the name of the brand of something they were given. They're constantly exposed to it. And so that kind of became the driving force behind what we did. And kind of our DNA is like, we're all about the strategy. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you need to understand what you're trying to achieve. Does it fit into your overall branding, and who the recipient is? Because the right piece of promotional products, or the right piece of swag, is going to be evaluated based upon who the recipient is. And will they use it? Are they a CEO and you're giving them a 43-cent pen? Probably not the right item to be giving to those people. So it's that conversation we try to encourage with our clients, and I think that's what's really driven the success of our business.
And it's you deal with major brands all around the world. How do they sort of approach this problem of? And do they calling you, or you're giving them ideas? And how does it work?
Ideally, once they meet with us, they start calling us and having that interaction. We have an event, here's a theme, and going through that list of questions and letting us become the experts for them in that area. And I think that's where we provide the greatest value, is when you share what you're trying to achieve and let us suggest ideas for you. And that doesn't mean there isn't a typical conversation that you would have with anybody in the creative field. Love it, hate it, don't understand it. Can you explain it? And, it's that kind of give and take with the clients that ultimately results in something that is very targeted, very on point, and well received. I mean, in this day and age, we are very much against creating more landfill. We'd much rather say no, because your budget doesn't allow you to achieve what you want to achieve, than to just put someone's name on something that's just going to end up thrown in a trash. And I'm sure, David, you've been to
Absolutely.
Plenty of events, and people get a gift bag. And then if you went to the corners, because we're in New York, if you go to the corners at the end of one of these events, you can figure out pretty quickly what people liked and didn't like, because the rest of it,
So at the end of the day, you ask that question, what are they trying to achieve? 9 times out of 10, what is that answer?
Not the same for every company. Sometimes it's building brand awareness. Sometimes it's incenting them to take some sort of action. So it could be using something tangible to drive them to something intangible, to do something online. Oftentimes it's a thank you, and sometimes it's just how do we keep our name in front of somebody? Because when you're in the sales process, it is so infrequent in today's day and age where, you make your sales pitch and then people sign there on the dotted line. So it may be, how do we make sure that they remember who we are at some point down the road? And if we do our job well, they'll say, remember that company? Oh yeah, I have their amazing piece of drinkware. It's on my desk. I see their logo every day. And then they call you up. So it really varies. We do a lot of work in the media world. So, people like AMC and NBC, and we do a lot of work with those companies on upfront, where they're trying to sell advertising time and getting people to pay attention. So sometimes, like in those projects, we're trying to help them educate media planners on their show, the benefits of their show. It ties in sometimes with the theme of the show, sometimes with the demographic of who's going to be watching it. And so we do things that go out to the media planners, to the advertisers. We've done influencer kits that go to people that do a lot of blogging about the show. So we'll do a kit that goes to them, and hopefully they'll use the item and take a picture and,
go into
post it online.
Go into that a little deeper. Like, what is an influencer kit? What product do you put in an influencer kit to achieve the goal of the particular brand, let's say? I know that we worked, we did something with a show called Psych, which was a show on NBC, and they sent out kits. They knew, we worked with their agency and NBC, and they knew people who were big fans of the show. And before the start of the next season, the day of that, they actually received like a pillowcase, pajamas, an eye mask, a candle, custom Jiffy Pop popcorn, and they didn't know they were getting it. All arrived as a surprise, and it created this amazing online buzz, about the show, because they were writing about it. They were putting their clothes on. It became almost like a virtual slumber party. And so we were able to, work with their agency and NBC and help them increase awareness of the show by helping accelerate that conversation online. So you're really, you're talking about people that have influence over budgets that are millions and millions of dollars. So you can actually afford to take a little bit of a risk on some of these things.
It doesn't have to be millions and millions of dollars. That was only 400 kits.
Right.
So, I think the interesting thing about our business, and it's important, I think, for people who listen to this, is we have some very large clients. We have some very small startups. But the largest clients, sometimes they do really large orders, but we're doing $500 orders for them every single day because it's more about what they're doing and how they want to get there. So if it's bring your kids to work day, we're doing things for their kids. If we need 50 T-shirts for a walk, if it's something where they need, all the basics that you see around your office, we do. So sometimes the misconception can be is that you have to be a big company to do this. You don't. You just have to have a little bit of, you have to have some budget, obviously, but it's also about like targeting. One of the things that we often do with our clients is we start talking to them about, like, you and I, you mentioned networking earlier, and we say, when someone sends you a piece of business or a referral, what do you do? Well, I'd love to send them something, but I don't. And so we start talking about, okay, what if we build a system where you can have some things in your office that you can send out? As soon as you come back from that meeting, you send out a thank you note and you throw that piece in. So now you're rewarding people who are giving you referrals, or you're thanking them. So there's that referral type of the business. So it's really getting people to think about it. You don't have to have big budgets to have big impact on things that you're doing, because you can do amazing things for $10, $8, $7. There's amazing drinkware that's double-walled, copper-lined, that you can do for $10 or $12. And they will keep your drinks cold for 12 hours, and people will use them, and they'll carry them around, and they'll build your brand. So I think we have to be careful to people don't have to spend a lot of money necessarily to have a big impact.
And now a quick word from today's sponsor. Proving ROI for event professionals can be tough. With Circus, businesses can connect with the consumers they want the most, shifting unaccountable marketing dollars to directly acquiring an on-brand crowd. Visit circus.com to request a demo. That's SURKUS.com.
Do you think that we're in the digital age? Do you think is there research to prove that people want tactile things they can hold and touch? Is that something that makes sense?
There definitely is. I mean, it's and I actually shared it with you guys, but there's a whole consumer study that just came out in 2017 that shows the use of promotional products are growing. It's ranked as the number one advertising vehicle in terms of recall. And as I mentioned to you earlier, like 9 in 10 remember the name of the brand of something they've gotten. 5 in 10, 10 people can name 5 things they've come in contact, usually in a day, that had a promotional brand on it. So the industry is about a $22 billion a year industry, and that's those are statistics that are just tracked through the industry. Most people think that's probably double that, because there are companies that aren't necessarily a member of the Promotional Products Association. So, and it's growing. And interestingly, promotional products are now being tracked by the same people that track other type of advertising media. And the statistics are really, interesting when you look at how it compares to other media out there. So it's very effective. And our business people want to talk about the fear of online impacting this. My feeling is that the more people are doing like advertising online, the greater need there is for things that are tangible. And I think the way in society, if you look at society today, Etsy and all these other companies like that have gone back to things that are more tangible. I think the more things become more virtual, the more people fall back on how great tangible products are.
Well, not only that, I think that there's a tremendous marriage between promotional products and events. We're seeing that the more digital we are getting, the more need there is for human contact.
Absolutely. And I think, and that's obviously great for our business as well, because we, a lot of our stuff ends up going to trade shows, events, music, concerts and shows and South by Southwest. And, consumers love to get free stuff. Why wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
And so kind of our job is to make sure that whatever they're giving away will be something people will use and appreciate and value. And because if they don't use it or think it's a piece of junk, that's a branding impression. I think you have to realize that if you're just going to give away something just because, maybe that's a good reason not to give something away. And I know that sounds counterintuitive.
You said that twice already, so I think that's a point you believe in.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's counterintuitive
Totally.
a little bit. And I think so. Part of our job is to help push people a little bit to just think a little bit more, and we'll help them. And there are other companies out there that are good as well. But I think it's really trying to figure out how to target products.
So let's go into some of, you're kind of in the fashion business, right? In a sense that there are certain things that are popular at certain times. What is popular today, and what things should be sort of put on the back burner?
I think we look at kind of what's going on in retail. So anything that's tech related, hugely popular. And so everything from things that can be accessorize your iPhone. So the iWallet, which are like, these flexible wallets that you can attach to the back of your phone, have become immensely popular because it can become your wallet. It can become the place where you keep your ID card to get back in and out of the building. Your phone is the only thing that you will leave the office and not leave behind. That seems to be, so that's become very trendy. Screen cleaners, battery backup. We are all challenged with batteries that don't last long enough. So those are incredibly popular. I will mention that, just because it's important, that there's real danger in the cheap batteries, some of the cheap batteries that are out there. You want to make sure if you're going to get one, something that has been tested and UL approved and stuff like that, because you do not want to become, like I won't mention the brand of the cell phone, but you don't want that to be yours. So, if you're going to do batteries, you want to make sure you do a good one. We're doing everything from customized headphones. We can do customized cables, screen cleaners, really popular. So the tech area is big, and I think will continue to be big. The other area that has just been growing massively is drinkware. And again, tying back to...
What is drinkware?
Well, like the water bottle. So if you think about, it came out of Yeti. Yeti somehow became this amazing brand that's out there. But that and the Swell bottle has propelled, that kind of drinkware into this kind of this stratosphere where everybody wants to give away really good drinkware. And most of them today are like vacuum sealed and double lined and come in all sorts of fashion colors. So that is also great. And I think one of the areas, and I think you can kind of see a trend here, is that whether it's the older generation, and I think the millennial generation, and I don't love the classification, but I think one of the things that it does bear out is that they want less stuff. They just want better stuff. So they want things that fit into their lifestyle and that they're going to use, and not just to get stuff for the stuff's sake. So that's why you see the tech side, the drinkware side. Bags always have an incredibly high perceived value. And amazingly, this is going to seem counterintuitive also. Journals and notebooks, like, Moleskine or Moleskine-like journals are really, really popular, and a great vehicle for advertising your brand, because not only can you put your name on the cover, but you can insert a story, custom pages into the front of the book so that people can read your story. So it gets expanded out just beyond just a logo. So that's those are some things that we think are popular. Obviously, T-shirts and apparel are still very popular, And again, a lot of that's being driven by fashion. The weights of the T-shirts have gotten lighter, and with a bit more spandex than it used to be years ago, that you only want 100% cotton, and it had to be very, very heavyweight. Now heavyweight is perceived as bad, and lighter weight is perceived as good. And 10 or 15 years ago, it was the complete opposite.
That's interesting. What are the other things that you should not be opening the catalog for? Pens with your name on them?
No, I think pens with your name on them are great.
They work? Okay.
Pens are great, and Post-it notes are great. I mean, think about a Post-it note cube sitting on your desk.
Yeah.
How many times you actually look at that logo, and if you pay a few extra cents and you put your name on the sheet, or if it's included, and you use the Post-it note, you pass it to somebody else. Think about how many branding impressions you're getting out of that. So it's not about what's not good. I think it's more about it's about quality.
Yeah. I'm noticing, in fact, we know some people together who there's like a competition among planners to have the highest quality promotional products they can give away as part of the DNA of their brand.
And why? I mean, and that seems so obvious, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's definitely a push towards I'd rather give away less, but give away better. And doesn't mean you can't do a really nice pen at 48 cents. Mm-hmm. You just have to you have to trust the company that you're working with to help you find that pen, and you test it out and you ask questions. And so we love an educated buyer is awesome, because I mean, for a few extra cents, or maybe 10 or 15 cents more, you can get a pen that's going to write for 2 miles, as opposed to a pen that's going to write for, 1 day.
Right.
Well, why would you want a pen that writes for 1 day where the ink clumps and you shake the pen? You wouldn't.
Yeah,
so
it's your brand.
I think people are right. It's for your brand. So I think people are getting better at saying, I want something that's going to last. Because we obviously get tons and tons and tons of samples, and people love to write with. Everyone writes with pens every day, and they have their favorites. Bic makes great pens. Bic's not an expensive product, right?
Right.
But they make great pens. They have good ink, and there's lots of really good brands out there. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with giving out a pen. You just need to know what your audience is. If you're going to a trade show and you want people to come by your booth and be excited, maybe just giving away an inexpensive pen is not going to be the thing that's going to stick out when they get home after that. But if you're doing an event and you have people and you're giving away and they're sitting at a table and there's a notebook and other things, it's a great add-on for them to do it. But you want them to go like, wow, this pen feels good in my hand. This pen writes really smoothly. There's something very tactile about a pen. And that's kind of what our business is all about. Our industry itself is really the only advertising media that can really touch on all 5 senses. So the other thing, and just going back to one of the questions you asked before, food is a massive category for us. And because people love to get food, people love, to create a connection. If you eat a great piece of chocolate,
what kind of food are you talking about? It's not obviously the caterer making the food. It's you guys.
No, it's more, it's everything from custom packaged, chocolates and other candies. We work with a company that, they own, Hampton popcorn. So it's all fresh made popcorn. It's made every single day. So instead of going to, your big box retailer and buying tins of popcorn, why would you want to buy something fresh, or buy something fresh that's chocolate covered with Oreos and doing things like that? We've done direct mail campaigns with a 1 pound, Rice Krispie treat, so it's this massive Rice Krispie treat. So, it's about getting things in people's hands that's going to be memorable. And we all can remember we've had, a good piece of, a great piece of candy or some great candy. And so we are, every week we're doing promotions with candy and custom packaging. So you can do custom, hot tamales in a custom box with your logo cut out of the front of the box. So it's all about packaging. It's about creating taste. it's a great way to get a message out. So one of the things that we do often with our clients, it's not just the product you're giving away, but how do you package it, and how do you put a message on the box that it's coming in, or the header card that gets attached to the candy. With some of our clients, like we talked about earlier, we create direct mail campaigns that, so the promotional product comes in a custom box, and while people, you can get a lot of junk mail, people love opening a box.
Yeah,
that's the first thing you're going to open in the morning when you get in. So that's a great way to cut through the clutter.
Tell us a little bit about the crystal ball. What's going to be happening in 2018? Are we going to see more AR and VR things branded? What do you see?
I think that we have definitely seen an uptick and we've been, and again, we were probably in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of accessories that go along with your iPhones to be able to watch virtual reality type of items. It is, I think we're going to start seeing as we start moving into 18 and probably 19, it's about getting more content out there for people to watch, and then our clients finding ways to create more content that relates directly to them. But we're very bullish on 18 and 19 really at this point. It seems like businesses are growing. We're incredibly excited about the new iPhone coming out because it tends to create buzz around more tech items that people are going to want that tie into it. Apple has been one of those companies, if they, on their new phones, the whole plug thing has changed. So that's created an opportunity for us to create other accessories that tie in with that. And, we think events are going to be great. I mean, on the downside a little bit, I'm not so bullish on some of, and this is going to sound bad, I'm not so bullish on the travel industry as much. I think domestically it's fine, but I think less people are going to be coming to the United States right now, because I think just the unknown about what's happening. So I think we've been reading articles about how some businesses are already starting to see a downtick in searches for travel to the United States. So we look at those things. I mean, it's not going to change how we market our business. We just, we work with some travel-related companies, and so there's obviously a concern there, but I'm hoping that kind of settles down.
So one last piece. I mean, when you think of promotional products, you think of relatively small companies that are working in this field. You are one of the leaders in this North America in promotional products. What does your office look like? How many people do you have? What is the you have designers and developers and things like that? It's not your typical go to a catalog and pick things out. Talk a little bit about that.
No, I mean, we are about 70 people. We have an office outside of Boston. We have Rybrook, New York, Chicago. The people we have a creative team. So we have, an art director that can help create concepts and design. We have a division that does e-commerce, and it's not B2C, but more B2B. So for some of our clients, we create e-commerce stores that they can use for marketing, to their people all across the country, and to help them build economies of scale. And we have a lot of very smart, creative people that kind of span, kind of the age group is anywhere from like mid 50s down to their early 20s. Interestingly enough, we are about close to 80% women. It's been awesome. They're an incredible team, and they, like me, I think, get excited about when they can work with their clients and help the clients actually move the needle on their business through the use of this stuff. And one of the great things about our industry is it's like we can sell almost anything to almost any company, and we're not stuck with just a certain range of products or just a certain vertical that we work in.
Right. So Larry, how can people get in touch with you and your company?
You can find us on the web at axispromo.com, or you can send us an email at hello@axispromo.com, which comes directly to me. Or if you want to call, you can call me at 212-965-0005. But it's, we love people who are looking to figure out how to grow their business, and working with, whether they're the corporations that are associated with, BizBash, or the event planners, we can help them really stand out.
And one last thing, can you mention where the study that you just mentioned comes from?
The study is, you can find it at ppai.org, and I will share it with you, David. And
I'll put a link on the notes.
Yeah, no,
it's public.
It's definitely public. Okay. It's a fascinating, and there's a number of other studies out there, and there's actually a campaign going on right now called Get in Touch, which is all about the benefits of promotional products.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Larry. We'll talk again
David.
soon.
Thanks, David, for bringing us that conversation. I have a question for you now. Do you remember some memorable swag that you've received?
Yes, I have two that I would mention. One is one of the reasons I actually go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner weekend is the People magazine bag that they give you at their event. It is so big and packed with so many things that you actually have to drop it off at your hotel room before going to your other parties. The other thing, it's packed with everything from really cool stuff to really good food. So it depends on if I'm on a diet or not, whether I dig in or give them to friends. The other swag item that I loved was I was at the Marriott in Brooklyn, and they had an item that one of their biggest customer sets are Orthodox Jews who have weddings. And so they did this thing where they took a yarmulke, and inside the yarmulke they put, keep these dates under your hat, and gave you the dates that are available for doing weddings at the Marriott. So that was another one. How about you, Beth?
Well, I'll give you two examples just very quickly. The first is an umbrella. It's so practical and unfussy, yet when I'm using your umbrella, everyone in the streets of Manhattan are, they're going to see your brand and logo.
You're like wearing a sign for
Exactly,
them.
Exactly. So absolutely love an umbrella. And another one was kind of unorthodox. This was in a swag bag from a benefit. There was a code that you could use to donate $25 to a cause that was listed on the website Donors Choose. And it was just so simple and effective to empower guests to keep on giving, and also introduce them to that website Donors Choose, which is so innovative and interesting and important. So I really liked that one. But also from your conversation, I loved hearing Larry talk about how promotional companies can push decision makers at brands to do smart and useful promotions. And the emphasis is on quality. There's enough junk out there in the world. We don't need to, continue to fill the landfills. So I'm going to offer a new acronym. Instead of stuff we all get, how about stuff we all use?
Absolutely. That's a good one to put into the suggestion box for the industry.
Absolutely. And another thing you got into was influencer kits. That was really interesting because it's a great tool for earned media. And, I was talking with a brand expert at an agency who was thrilled the other day when Amy Schumer, the comedian, she posted a photo of herself in a swag item they had sent out. So this was a huge win. I looked it up before we sat down, and Amy Schumer has 6.3 million followers.
Wow.
So that's a big win.
Yeah, no, it's amazing when you do it right. It has an effect that is incalculable. I don't know if that's the right word.
Absolutely. So before we close off for this edition of GatherGeeks, I wanted to mention our fall issue, which is just released. Before in our conversation, I mentioned a story about holiday gifting, and that's in there. And you can also find our annual list of the top 15 most innovative meetings and much more. So find that issue at bizbash.com/magazine.
Yeah, no, I just perused it and read every word of it, and I have to thank you and our editorial team for doing such a magnificent job on working this industry and really understanding it. And the articles and the thought behind it was really a masterpiece. And thank you so much.
Well, thanks. And again, check that out at bizbash.com/magazine. And until next week, gather on, David.
Gather on, Beth.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Player FM, Google Play, and Pocket Cast. Be sure to leave us a rating and review. It helps others discover the GatherGeeks podcast. We'd also love to hear from you. You can leave feedback on Twitter at GatherGeeks or leave us an email, gathergeeks@bizbash.com. We hope you'll join us again for the next episode of GatherGeeks. Until then, gather on. Invest in yourself and your staff with self-paced online event education designed to fit into your busy schedule. Subscribe to the Event Leadership Institute for only $25 per month and gain access to an extensive on-demand video library of classes, as well as interviews with industry leaders. Best of all, you can watch classes in small pieces or all at once. For more information, visit eventleadershipinstitute.com.